Good afternoon and welcome to Day 2 of Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships, coming to you live from beautiful Wollongong on the New South Wales South Coast. My name is Max Stenstrom. I'm joined in the booth by Dan Clinton in the game to go on the women's side of the draw. Dan, tell us about what we're about to see.
We're about to see life and death in action on the Frisbee field. This is to decide who goes to top 8 and who goes to the bottom 8. The difference here, as we're in the single elimination side of the tournament, it's all to play for at the moment, and the tournament's on the line.
We've got a wind coming left to right on your screens, and it looks like Tempest from inner city Sydney will start off on offense. Valkyrie hailing from down south in Adelaide. They're a first-year team, but they're making a splash here at Div 2 Nationals. And as you said, Dan, this game is the difference between first and last. It'll be important to come out strong early on.
Potentially.
Potentially first and last, that's right.
You win this game, and every game after you come first. You lose this game, and every game after you do come last. But Valkyrie haven't really been doing much losing. They beat Darlinghurst and Factory Fire yesterday. Went down to Chaos, however, 11-15 this morning. Bit of a mixed bag for Tempest. They're defending second place from last year.
Big shoes to fill.
Well, they lost both games yesterday, which was not great for them. They had a good game against the Ladies Lounge, who we saw this morning on the live stream. Couldn't get the result, however. So they had to come into this morning's game. They played Factory, and they managed to get the win there. So that's seen them through, and now facing off against a resurgent Valkyrie side from South Australia.
And with that, the game will get going with a pool that's out the sideline. These windy conditions have proved tricky for a lot of teams. We've seen plenty of bricks and sideline pools all weekend long. And it looks like the disc will be brought up by Mel Boudib. No shortage of experience in that player. She's played at all sorts of levels.
Well, as we were looking through the team list, we both commented when we saw the name of Boudib.
We did indeed, as Wolski throws a forehand that gets caught by the wind. Pax falls underneath it, bobbles to the turf off a number of different players. And now Valkyrie will get their first shot with the disc as Webb picks it up and gets it moving. Over to Victory. Victory immediately launching the backhand deep. Doesn't waste any time looking to the end zone, but the wind makes it difficult, and a good defensive play by Bianca So will push that to the turf.
Interesting throw there from Victory. It looked ugly. It was, the front edge was pointing up, but it was actually the throw she needed to make with the wind being so strong and pushing that disc down the field. It actually held up a long way, and it was nearly completed. And that leads me nicely into a comparison I made off camera, comparing the women's game we saw earlier and then the men's game. The women seem to handle the condition much better than the men. And I think that comes down to just Frisbee smarts. Guys just tend to see disc run, and women, however, have to think about it a little bit more, and indeed do. First score.
Hedger Smith in the end, providing a really easy pass. She's worked hard to get open in the front corner of the end zone there. Downwind side, cramming it into a small space, but Valkyrie does well.
Conversion of those downwind points is going to be very important in this game.
That's right. The upwinders will be as rare as hen's teeth and valuable as gold. The wind is left to right, and as I speak, it turns a little. It's blustery, that's for sure, and it's away from the camera as well. So there's a downwind side and an upwind side. Teams will really need to adapt, and Victory showing her class early with that throw. As you said, adjusting the angle of the disc to get it to fly the way she wanted. Not an easy thing to do.
Doing a bit of research off camera, trying to figure out what Valkyrie actually is. We couldn't remember our Norse mythology, so we had to go look it up. The Valkyrie is one of the angels of death, literally deciding who lives and who dies in battle. I don't think it gets much more appropriate than that. in terms of where Valkyrie sit in this tournament.
That's right. They decide whose tournament hopes stay alive and whose will die at the end of this match. The pool coming back the other way. You see it get blown off course by the wind and rifle out the far sideline.
Wowee.
It will be fielded by Vivian Hu, perhaps, or Brockmeyer, that is, in the end. And they'll be operating out of a single coverage defense. And they'll move it up that far sideline. And she'll shoot. Deep, no hesitation, and just straight in and out of the hands of her receiver. She had plenty of space and time to make that grab, but Yoda can't hold on. And that gives Valkyrie another chance.
Nothing to worry about really for Tempest. They're going to have opportunities here. Valkyrie, they're going to have opportunities as well. They can get a little bit of movement going here. That is the coffin corner there. The downwind, low side. Yeah, hard throw to make there.
And Tempest will look to capitalize quickly as they go straight back into the end zone. Both teams struggling to string passes together consistently, maybe opting for a slightly more territory-based game. Looking to get it down the other end, force the other team to work the full distance.
Well, it's a soccer concept of all things, Max. You either have possession of the ball or position on the ball. The same thing works in Frisbee. You know, if you can't maintain possession, you may as well put it down the other end of the field. So there will be an uncontested foul call.
No fuss there. Very happy to let that one go back and for the player to retain possession. Looks to the end zone and again can't hold on. And Webb brings it back in. The wind is really picking up, making life very difficult for these players as Webb again tries that forehand down the line and again it gets pushed out the sideline.
Talking to Kelly Thompson, one of the injured Tempest players. She's sans ACL at the moment. She mentioned that defensively, Tempest are going to do a few different things. They've got a couple of ideas that they want to play. It's a little bit close-lipped, didn't want to give too much away. Very keen on getting the result here in this match.
It is a high-stakes game. Both teams recognizing the importance of that and trying to capitalize on every advantage they can. Tempest unable to capitalize there. Another shot going in and out of the hands in the end zone. They've had a number of chances at it, and they've just not been able to hold on to the disc. They've been able to present good options, just not hold on to them, and Webb can't hold on to a bubble disc there as well, as players from both sides getting involved as it bobbled off many pairs of hands. And Tempest will have another go, trying to work it back in towards the center of the field. It's definitely the right option in this breeze, and you can see the disc just get completely stuffed. It looks like it hit a brick wall and slungshot back to the other side. Not able to throw into the wind. And now Valkyrie have it at about midfield. They can't complete a pass. They've got a player streaking deep. Will that option go up? Yes, it will. And it will go down again just as quickly into the turf. Toth not able to find her target. Not quite having the range or the power on that throw.
And right now, it's up to James and kind of the leadership group from Valkyrie to really assert what they want to do offensively. Try and just get into a structure that they want to stick with. Regardless if it works or not, just get to a structure and keep working at it, because this upwind, downwind, blustery conditions, it's about finding something you know will work eventually. And that may score you that 1 or 2 crucial upwind points.
They're looking to take your advice, Dan. They're continuing to pepper that front corner of the end zone with shots, knowing that eventually the rewards will come and they will be able to notch up their first point on the board. Valkyrie have really struggled to get it outside this and beyond their brick mark area, as their first shot deep gets eaten up by the Tempest defender, and they move it quickly on the doorstep, and the little flip. Eventually, they do find success. That was Wong with the assist, with a nice little backhand pop to her teammate running through from behind. Maybe a slightly different option from the cuts coming from the back of this end zone that were occurring earlier, and in the end an easier pass and an easier catch.
Creative throw, that one. It looked like a no spin, just toss it up in the air kind of throw. Worked out in the end.
Throw and hope, and it worked. Probably a good opportunity to say, if you are joining us on the live stream, thank you very much. Do send in your comments and your questions. We'll do our best to answer them if we know the answers. Give a few shout outs as well. Do get involved. Share the stream on your social media as well. We're streaming games live to you all weekend long here from beautiful Wollongong. Thank you to Destination Wollongong for putting us up this weekend. It's a lovely location by the beach. I know one of our other commentators took the opportunity at lunchtime today to pop down and have a quick dip. I haven't myself, but you know, it's definitely on the agenda.
There's an alarming amount of men walking around in budgie smugglers. is alarming.
There is indeed.
I was sitting here in the commentary booth, and Max Halden walked by and decided to stop in the commentary booth and have a long discussion with one of the other fellows that was here, and it was just all at the wrong height.
And speaking of Valkyrie now on offense, and they're unable to find that pass at the right height either as it goes to turf, and Tempest have it in midfield.
It's an opportunity for Tempest. They're past halfway and there's not really that much to go. The wind a little bit softer.
And they find that up the line shot. And that one pops up off the hand. Almost had a second bit at that, did Shayna Wolski. Things will often pop up in conditions like this. It's really important that they don't give up on a disc until it's on the turf. There's always an opportunity to clean up the scraps.
I love to see Emma Victory just punt this, and she will. Because in these conditions, especially early in the game when you're not really firing on all cylinders yet, you know, just getting meters, playing a bit of positional ultimate, and getting it to a better spot on the field that you can potentially defend from is far more valuable than putting the disc through hands.
Territory will be the name of the game, I think. And we've had a bit of a call on the far side. Looked like on the throw by Emma Victory that occurred earlier. We've got our game advisors getting involved.
Uncontested foul.
Victory will retain possession. She'll have another go. Wouldn't be surprised to see if she took the same option again, reaching deep with her big backhand.
She just needs to play smart here and really put that disc up if she can, because there's no point really playing around with it in your own red zone.
Tempest still sticking with single coverage, an interesting choice in tough conditions like these. A lot of teams have been opting for the zone defensive looks to some success.
Yep, it's turnover.
It's Boudib with the disc. Opts for the little flip, but can't connect, and that's another turn.
We've seen a lot of throws in that short-range forehand side. Players have got to start throwing that short-range lefty. I'm telling you, the offhand short-range throw instead of the forehand is the money option. And oh, that is a nice throw.
Speaking of money options, Malhotra looks deep and wasn't far off from connecting with Smith, but it may not have actually come back into the field as she did pivot wide out onto the backhand side, out that sideline. So Tempest will bring it back up, and Boudib will settle in the dump position. I think her team needs her here to get the disc.
Really good-looking option by Malhotra. She hasn't been playing long, and I think Emma Victory needs to get in her ear and say, hey, more of that, do more of that. You know, don't worry about, you know, throwing the disc away, because occasionally that's what's going to happen.
Madeline Smith's going to be on the end of it. That was a lovely throw from Victory, showing that technical skill in these tricky conditions. And Valkyrie now with a short field to work with. They're near the brick mark. And Jasmine Malhotra Finds her player in the end zone, Madeline Smith. And that's a goal to Valkyrie. We've got 2 goals in very similar positions down that end of the field. Takes it to 1 apiece. As Valkyrie opened their account. Lovely passage of play through the hands. Are able to string those passes together, keep possession while taking aggressive options. And it all started back with Emma Victory's beautiful huck. We'll get another look at it now. Absolutely no hesitation. Picks it up quickly off the turnover. Sees Madeline Smith down the other end of the field and says, have some of this.
In any other condition, that throw is gross. However, when the wind is blowing so hard left to right, the fact that that leading edge of the disc is pointing so far up in the air, it's just holding that disc and preventing it from running away from the receiver. And it's really giving them a chance to actually catch these long throws, which would be immensely hard to do if they were a flutter throw.
Credit to Emma Victory. It's a really difficult thing to do, to be able to just slightly adjust your regular technique to account for the difficult conditions, but she does a great job of it there, showing why she's the leader of this team, one of the key handlers and the founder of this Valkyries club. The Valkyrie team, obviously in their first year, competing well at Div 2 Nats. I asked one of their players before this game what their goal was, and she said to show what South Australia is really all about and to show what it's worth, and I think they're doing that right now. Tempest in the midfield. Don't have a lot of options, ending up on that downwind sideline, as they have a number of times. And they'll dump backwards and back to the centre. Come to the high side. Oh. And a great hand block from Kirsty Lucas. Does well to get across, get that left hand out there.
Sending it back the way it came. Rejected. Get out of here.
And that one sits up, and Kirsty Lucas is underneath it. She's not finished at this point. Doesn't have time to look after her teammate Hedges Smith, who took a bump. She's looking to get it going quickly.
This could be the point, Max.
No mercy from this Valkyrie offense. They go over the top into traffic. But Hedges Smith not able to get there. Goes to turf again. She's working hard. And we may have a stoppage and a bit of discussion.
Looks to be a violation of some description.
We'll see if we can get some insight from the game advisors. Lucy Alexander's mic'd up.
And then moved up as well. Just quite travel.
So it looks like the player with the disc had established a pivot point and then moved up. Under the rules, she needs to stay where she has once that pivot has been established.
So technically a travel.
Thanks, Lucy. We're very lucky to have game advisors on these fields at Division 2 Nationals, providing their advice and wisdom. As Shani Webb finds an open Emma Stevenson in the end zone. She just got totally free, left her defender in the dust. And Shani Webb, you don't have to ask her twice. She'll make that throw. And Valkyrie go both ways, 2 in a row to take it to 2-1.
That is not good signs. And you talk about some of these plays. You talk about Kirsty Lucas, and you ask, what does she do well? You have to say it's that defensive pressure she brings first with the hand block and then with the smarts to get her hands up. She also put a pretty big head onto Hedges Smith, her teammate.
And had no mercy about it either. Left Hedges Smith to look after herself, and she looked to keep the play moving. I mean, I guess it's ruthlessly efficient in terms of getting the goal in the end. Hedges Smith may have some words for her afterwards about that. But she looked all right as well as she ended up shaking herself off and continuing the point. Tempest will need to respond here. Valkyrie getting a break, and a break early in a game in these conditions can be really valuable.
Especially when it's a windy day, the breaks are so incredibly valuable. Maybe less valuable here in Wollongong because the wind can't make up its mind what direction it wants to come from. But in a game like this, you always want to be in front. You want to be the ones putting the pressure on the other team, forcing them to do the hard things, forcing them to make the hard plays.
Speaking of difficult things to do in these conditions, it's throw a pull past halfway as Tempest now have the disc, immediately looking to get it to the high side of the field. I like that as an option as it finds its way into the hands of Monica Brockmeyer. She's got plenty of experience and she'll look to use it to their advantage. They go back to Boudib, who goes to turf but can't hold on. Valkyrie, what's the bet? They look deep. They do not. Shiny Webb puts it back in the holster. She's been very willing early in the game to shoot deep, but here thinks better of it. But through the hands of Laura Franklin, who can't hold on to that one. Came in with a bit of heat in these windy conditions as the wind got behind it. And Tempest give it cheaply back. Webb doesn't hesitate this time.
Yeah.
She's got players underneath.
Whoa.
Cut out nicely by Wolski.
I was thinking that was the money. It was looking good. It just kind of died a little bit and didn't have the carry.
Did not have the punch it needed to get through. Boudib, definitely one of the players on this Tempest team with the cannon of a right arm, capable of cutting through the wind.
We have many discs on the field though, at the moment.
And they're on the doorstep. Franklin surveying her options. There's players on the ground, and that's an injury call, I believe. She looks a little ginger as she gets back up. Bit of a limp. She'll come off. And they'll take the opportunity to get the second disc off the field as well. Thank you to the game advisors for that one.
Yeah, that was that's the factory game behind us. As we see that disc just squirrel out of reach.
And Aniko Toth will come to the field to take the place of her injured teammate. Just looking at the structure or lack thereof on the field right now, there's players everywhere for Valkyrie. They'll need to clear this up, especially in windy conditions. Having a clean offense is super important so that you've got a big, nice open space to throw the disc into. She goes around with the backhand, out in front. But too far out in front as it sails out the sideline.
That's just an experience thing there, Max. That throw, you got to know that the wind is just going to push that out. You can't throw really outside in into that corner. It's going to have to be flat and hard if you want to score in that open side down there.
Now Toss with the disc, looks up line, nice take. And she immediately shoots deep, looking for Wolski. Wolski can't get there as the taller Madeline Smith plucks that one out of the sky. She had a couple of inch advantage and put it to good use.
Wow, what a find Madeline Smith has been for South Australia. She has been everywhere in everything, both offensively and defensively thus far. Incredibly tall athlete.
This whole Valkyrie roster really full of athletes. It's their focus, I know, in forming this team this year has been to provide an opportunity for some of the younger athletic women in Adelaide to play Ultimate here on a national stage. And they're showing that they can mix it with the best of them as Shiny Webb shoots deep. She's got Smith underneath it, but it sails out the sideline. It is such a difficult position to shoot from that downwind side, isn't it, Dan?
Oh, we've seen it result in turns, I'd say 5 or 6 times now. And it's fine, I think. You take the good with the bad. If you're a Valkyrie, you accept that sometimes it's just going to go out of bounds, and accept that if you want to play positionally, sometimes it's not going to come off. Oh, Boudib.
Boudib doing well to keep possession alive. You see just how difficult this wind is making even what would usually be regulation passes and catches as they work it through traffic down the center of the field, and they're looking long with Mishi Sano underneath it. But the wind gets the best of it again, pushing it out of reach, not able to.
That last throw is a killer. The last 10 yards is the hardest yards to cover on the field.
And Valkyrie look to move it quickly to Webb. She's been so crucial for them for this game, both in the handler space and downfield. They look again to Smith. She's been their target all game, and you can't blame them. It's a big target to throw at, but she's not able to hold that one. Bounces off the chest. Tempest moving quickly to this high side, looking for Boudib. Into traffic and out of the hands of Wolski.
Oh, Smith goes again. She's free. And there it is.
Oh, Smith, what a grab!
Oh.
And there's a foul call. That was a great hold. Plenty of pressure. Player in front of her was right next to her. And Lucy Alexander, our game advisor, will get involved. Hopefully provide us some insight.
Doesn't matter. The only thing that matters if you do agree that was contact, but if you don't think it affected what happened, you can contest it, I suppose. Can you just? I feel like
I didn't have a clear perspective, but if you're discussing it this long, perhaps the contested will be the best result to send it back.
Yep. Okay. Contested.
So there we have it. It's a contested foul.
I'm really not sure of the foul call there. It didn't seem like there was. Oh, maybe there is a bit of an arm. Maddie Smith. Maybe she was an AFL player in a past life. Bit of an arm across the defender there, so probably justified that foul call.
She's a rugby player.
Oh,
we're hearing from the sideline.
So probably even worse in terms of contact.
So really, she just showed a lot of restraint. We should be applauding her that the other girl's still alive, frankly. But Shiny Webb will have another go, and I would not be surprised to see them just repeat that option again.
No, wrong direction, Smith. Run to the end zone.
Webb knew what the plan was. Shoots again to the end zone. This time looking for Meredith Cravey, wearing the 999 shirt. It's an interesting number choice.
Spare shirt for Valkyrie. They ordered extra kits just for this reason, so that they can still have people in uniform playing.
And that attempted swing pops right up. And there were people forming it underneath. It almost regathered possession, but Webb on the doorstep, pivoting, working hard, but deep on the mark. And Smith underneath. She doesn't make the mistake twice. She holds on, despite the pressure of the Tempest defense all around.
Madeline Smith, hell of a talent. She's been everywhere thus far, defensively, offensively, and now with an undercut, creating separation and very nice, safe hands to score.
In these kinds of conditions, a player of her nature is going to really excel and shine. A big-time deep receiver in gusty conditions like this is exactly what you want. You know there's going to be a lot of pie. You know things are going to float up and pop up, and you're going to have a fair few jump ball pack grabs. A player like Madeline Smith, invaluable.
And that's 4-1.
Valkyrie out of the gate strong.
Kind of lost a little bit of perspective there in that long drawn-out point with so many turns. Valkyrie, though, they've got to be happy with where they're sitting in this match so far.
Well, Tempest scored the first point, so Valkyrie have just gone on a 4-point run, almost without anybody noticing. Feels every point is an even battle, almost could be a coin toss, both teams having plenty of opportunities, but Valkyrie's just been getting the best of it consistently.
See some shots of Tim Kiley, one of the game advisors, the other game advisor on the far side of the field. Obviously, Lucy Alexander, our head game advisor. It's going to be Kirsty Lucas with another pull. Pretty good pull.
Yeah, in these conditions, that's very respectable. It's in the center of the field. And Valkyrie again opting for the single coverage. Persisting with that as that backhand goes long. She's got players underneath it in the vicinity, but probably another territory-based decision. And it's not a bad decision, I think, in these conditions. If you can get the disc down the other end, make the team have to work the full distance, you're doing well.
I love this line call at the moment. They've kept Madeline Smith out there. Emma Victory retakes the field, and Kirsty Lucas as well. So an exceedingly strong defensive line, rather. Malhotra as well out there as a defensive handler.
And no surprises, Victory goes to Smith, plucks it like an apple.
She's dropped the sky crane like the toy skill tester from above. What a play.
And dumps it back to Victory. Maybe just looking to repeat the heroics, and we get a pick as she comes underneath. Madeline Smith curling round to the front of the stack, her defender getting caught up in the way.
They're just going to discuss whether it affected the play or not. We see the Madeline Smith grab.
The sky hook comes in. That's a beautiful play. She was out of position, but it just didn't matter. Stuck out the big right hand and reeled that one in. And looks like Emma Victory will take the disc back. And Madeline Smith immediately hustles to the end zone. But the throw goes up into traffic. Well taken by Emma Stevenson, but not taken. In and out of the hands.
That's phenomenal there. Really good signs from Valkyrie. You're going to be happy with what they're showing because they're creating this. Lucas with another block.
And now Valkyrie slowly but surely advancing it up the field. Victory goes to Lucas. That's the connection that will prove valuable this entire match. Lucas goes far side to Smith. And the defense coming through. She rushed it just a touch, giving Bleacharts an opportunity. Needed to take a breath and settle the nerves. When you're that close, you just want to wait for the right option to present itself. And Reagan will go long. Got plenty of people underneath it. Looking to move it quickly now. No defense in sight. As Lacunza gives and goes up the line. Will she get it back? Yes, she will. Tempest go end to end, coast to coast. Valkyrie looking so good that point, having so many opportunities. And Tempest just find their openings, string it all together, and suddenly we see probably the nicest passage of offensive play we've seen all game.
At least from Tempest anyway. Get some replays. Lucas long cut to catch. Good throw from Victory, but equally good defense. Tempest managing to hold out this surging South Australian side. I don't think Valkyrie should be too upset with that, though. It was always going to happen. They were always going to get scored on. It was just a question of when. But now they go on offense. They'll have a chance to settle, have a breath, bit of a break, and keep going with this game.
And they do have to keep going. In conditions like this, it can turn into a bit of a dogfight, a bit of a scrappy match, and it's the team that's willing to grit their teeth and work the hardest that usually comes away with the W at the end of the day.
See if we can get another replay of that Smith catch. From where I'm from, we call that the drop in the hook.
Drop in the hook. It was one hell of a snag, that's for sure.
That's what we call that.
So we see it here again. Totally out of position, over the top of two defenders. She wasn't even the second best positioned person in that contest. She was the third. And still managed to come away with the disc in her hand.
You know,
what an effort.
When you get up and you're over someone else, dropping the hook.
Dropping the hook. Well, the hook definitely got dropped. Looking forward to seeing a few more of those this match and for the rest of this weekend. An exciting prospect to be sure as Boudib launches that pull down the field.
It's interesting. Boudib on the sideline, very animated during that long point, the last point. She was not on the field. Very disappointed with how Tempest was playing. She threw a hat on the field at one stage. So she's clearly not impressed with what's happening with her team, wanting something different.
She gets out there and immediately throws it away. Tough throw back into the wind, that forehand, and it does get picked up and sails too far out of reach. Valkyrie now with working it from their offensive big mark. And they try to move it to the high side and they can't complete that pass. It's a bit of it's a balancing act. You know you want to move it to the high side because that's where you want to have the disc, but it's a really tricky throw to do it.
Wow, what a matchup Malhotra has drawn here against Boudib. I love to see Malhotra when she's on offense try and drive to the open side of the field, get a power position, use her quickness. We've already seen that she can throw. And speaking of throws, Shani Webb as well.
Shani Webb with the flick around the forehand. And Hedger Smith looked like she's taken a bump to the back of the head. Looks very unhappy.
It's exceedingly stiff.
There was definitely some contact in there, and we'll have another look at it. It's an ambitious throw by Webb. High release forehand with the wind.
I really don't think there's much to talk about there in terms of foul. Maybe an inconsequential bit of contact. We'll
if we send it back as best result.
Be a contested foul call.
And the disc will go back. Webb probably not unhappy about having another chance at that pass. Probably didn't come out of the hand quite the way she she intended it to. Throwing a high release forehand with the wind going away from us as it is, an exceptionally difficult task. Not a prospect that I'd ever look forward to. And Webb will get another chance.
In terms of the conditions though, Max, it's not actually the worst idea. The wind coming from Webb's right-hand shoulder to her left, you know, opening that edge and just kind of sailing it into the end zone. Hey, you know, maybe one of your tall timber down there manages to reel it in.
She goes to the backhand this time, though, to not much success as Wolski gets in front of it. It's definitely an option that puts plenty of faith in your downfield receivers, and why not when you've got athletes like Valkyrie do. And now Tempest moving it quickly up the sideline. Boudib lays out trying to hold on to that one, but it sails too far despite her best efforts, and she'll immediately put that mark back on Malhotra. Malhotra, despite her diminutive size, plenty of gas in the tank when it comes to big throws. That one, the wind getting the best of, and it'll roll out the sideline as Brockmeyer brings it back in. Playing a diagonal offense, and Boudib goes back and has to lay out to hold on to that one.
That's just straight up special. You don't, that's not every player. That is a class of your own when you're talking about abilities, athleticism. It doesn't get any better than Mel Boudib.
Just consistently putting her body on the line for this team, doing what needs to get done. Said she was getting frustrated before.
Oh, wow.
Wow, indeed. A huge blade of a backhand. Went straight up and straight down and straight out. Laura Franklin, apologies, not Laura Franklin.
It was Laura Franklin.
It was Laura Franklin who threw that. It was an ambitious shot at best. And Tempest will march it back up. I don't think it actually ever went in the field. Hence, they'll take it from where she threw it. Again, opting for this diagonal offense, no dump back. Boudib at the front will be that reset if they need it.
The issue right now is it's so hard to work the disc to the high side. The wind is just killing everything coming to this side of the field.
And there's plenty of traffic as you get plenty of cutters going at once. Now they're on the doorstep. Bianca So. Not a lot of options forming downfield. And that bounces in and out of the hands, as it has so many times. And again, Franklin absolutely fearless.
I think that's a clear sign she's following some instructions there. The instructions being get it down the other end of the field. There was no real thought of, hey, what position? Oh, and a hand block! Shani Webb sends it back from whence it came.
Talk about clutch. Recognizes they're in a position where if they get the disc in a short field, they'll be able to capitalize. And as she has all game, she provides what her team needs. Shani Webb doing so much work both offensively and defensively. Just shuts the door, puts out the right paw and swats that one out of the sky. Not even having a moment of thought about that.
And not even the athletic Boudib could track that disc down after Shani Webb had her way with it.
Looks like we've got injury call from Hedger Smith. Still clutching her head after that earlier bump. Will come off. She'll get some attention from her teammates and the medics if she needs it. And it looks like Tempest will opt again for the diagonal setup.
And that's the thing about, you know, head injuries, collisions involving the melon, is that sometimes it doesn't really take much. You know, an elbow at the wrong angle at the wrong time can do a hell of a lot of damage. So hopefully Hedger Smith is all right. She's able to get herself back into this game.
She's been an important part of their offense so far, so I'm sure Valkyrie will be hoping the same thing. As Webb will put the mark on to Boudib. This is a great matchup that we're only just starting to see the best of. And Boudib goes down the line, threads a needle.
An attempted greatest. I love that.
Great heads-up play.
Presence of mind to know, hey, I'm going out. Maybe this disc didn't really spend a lot of time in the field. Let's keep it up here as far as we can.
Cravey moves it, resets the stall count to Victory. She surveys her options. There's only one place this disc is getting thrown, and that's the end zone. But it's also straight into the hands of the Tempest defender, Wolski. And we've got a call on the throw, and it'll come back.
Just a simple, uncontested foul. Victory being collected on the throwing arm as she tried to get that disc out.
Wong has the difficult task of trying to contain Victory. Gives up a fair bit in terms of length, which it makes your life difficult as a mark when your throw is just significantly longer than you are. But Wong's taking on that challenge, looking to be active. And Victory goes underneath to Malhotra. Couple of meters out. Tempest doing a good job of closing down the options. Victory tries the forehand. And that one will go to ground and then roll well out the back. You can see the strength of the wind. That disc is still rolling away from the field.
That's up against the fence. While we got an opportunity, we'll talk a little bit about Emma Victory. Started her career South Australian, long-time receiver, making the transition as a lot of players do as they get older and more experienced to handler. And she's made a pretty good transition from what we've seen here today. Some significant throwing improvements from her early days, which is awesome to see, and awesome to see her making good decisions as well. Where this game sits, it's not about possession ultimate and you know, recycling and creating angles for your offense. It's about position on the field.
It can be a real challenge, both physically in terms of making the throws and also mentally, and keep taking those options to play that style of offense. Just can sometimes feel a bit negative, but it is absolutely the right tactical decision to play that territory game you're talking about. We've seen some other very windy tournaments involve lots of this kind of style of play. Shani Webb sends it back. For those of you that tuned into LTTV's coverage of the World Club qualifying tournament in December last year, was absolutely blowing a gale all weekend, and there was plenty of huck and D, which is really what we're seeing here. Malhotra now marking up on Monica Brockmeyer. Brockmeyer looks to connect with Boudé, but instead goes downfield to Wolski. And Webb is just sitting in the lane. Very happy to leave a player open and unmarked elsewhere.
Yeah, intelligent play there. As getting the disc to this high side is borderline impossible.
She throws another backhand, and she's got her target there. Read well. It's a difficult task to predict where the disc is going to fly in these tricky conditions, but that was read very well by Laura Franklin. Franklin had a few big backhands earlier in the point that didn't work out for her, and she switched roles with Webb and said, I'll go on the receiving end and find some more success. Valkyrie, again, coming out on top after a long back and forth point where both teams had opportunities.
It's going to be about who can convert, who can punch it in, who can get the score. So far, Valkyrie have snuck out to a bit of a lead. They converted those two upwinders, find themselves 5-2 in this game, but it's still relatively close. We see Kelly Thompson, sans ACL, giving some instructions to her team.
What kind of instructions do you think you can say to a team in a situation like this? They're getting plenty of disc, but they're just not able to turn that into notches on the board.
It's just that structure that you know is going to work eventually. You gotta stick with it. Brockmeyer's having a rough game at the moment. She's really struggling to get movement of the disc, so sticking with what you know is going to work in these conditions.
I guess we'll see whether they can do that right now, as that pull will just continue to roll as it's pushed by the wind. And Valkyrie persisting with single coverage. I think this is an interesting choice, but you can't blame them because it's been producing plenty of turns. And Victory will walk slowly to the disc.
There's no rush right now for Valkyrie. They're up, they're in a good spot, and they've got an exceedingly strong line on. with Webb and Victory providing the throwing power.
And Webb underneath it shows that she can be a thrower and a receiver. Pulls that down in traffic, does well. Plenty of defense around her. Now she surveys her options. She goes deep. Pack forms underneath it as it sails out the side. And it'll come back.
Maybe a call here. It's always interesting, a foul call on a forehand. We'll see what the result is. It looks like a contested stall is the call. So Schiffman saying she got to 10, and Webb saying that no, there's no way. Generally speaking, I have a rule that if it's a contested stall, it's not a stall. It's going to result in a turn.
As she takes exactly the same option as she did previously for exactly the same result. And Valkyrie will throw that one as a bit of a desperation throw into the center of the stack. Redwell and finds its way into the hands of Victory. She pivots hard into the mark, drawing some contact. And there'll be a foul call and no contest. Looks like play will restart quickly. Loving those hand signals out. They're making it very easy, both for us and for you at home, to know what's happening. Victory shoots forehand down the side.
Yeah, just coming back to that contact by Blitzscharz on Victory. Victory very smart, pivoting to a spot where Blitzscharz wasn't set up yet. So drawing that contact as she tried to come around to cover that.
It's a bit of a veteran move. And we get another foul call on the mark. There'll be a bit of discussion here as well. Game advisors able to provide their perspective. But it looks like it'll come in relatively quickly. Uncontested, that's what we want to see. Webb on the mark. Being very active, putting a lot of pressure on, making Tempest's life difficult, and that's a huge backhand. But neither Smith nor Holly Reagan are able to get there. It's a difficult prospect launching deep when you know Madeline Smith's in the region. Anywhere vaguely nearby, and she'll hunt it down. And Victory will pick it up again.
Valkyrie stack is set up fairly deep here. The disc is going to come in around the halfway line. They are adjusting now. Kirsty Lucas realising what the problem is.
I mean, it's early days in this game, but do you think it's a realistic option in conditions like this to start thinking about parking the bus?
Well, they kind of already have, Max. The Valkyrie defense has been very good. Oh, dear.
As that one, oh dear indeed, almost ends up further back than where it got thrown from as the wind really gets underneath it. Victory going straight up on the force now, trying to contain any deep shots coming from this Tempest team as they shoot forehand down the sideline. And Smith plucks that one with two hands, does nicely, gets in front of it. As Valkyrie now looking to respond. They're on this high side, which should open up some movement downfield. And Webb shoots. She's got Lucas underneath. Lucas works hard to get there, but the best efforts of Rosaline Tsang make it just a little too hard.
Yeah, Lucas really had no rights to catch that, and she nearly did anyway.
Toth shooting. We haven't seen her look deep yet, and that's a nice shot. Perhaps we'll see some more after that completion. And they've got acres of space into the hands of Nicole Lacunza. String together a couple of quick passes, not giving Valkyrie any time to set up kind of defense on them, and they're rewarded. That'll take it to 5-3, narrowing the gap to 2. They're certainly still within striking distance.
I think we're going to have a timeout here.
And with that, they'll take a break and they'll grab a drink, and so will we. But stick around for the rest of this great matchup from Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships. And welcome back to the first half of Tempest and Valkyrie in the women's side of the bracket here at the Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships. Valkyrie's had the best of it so far.
Shots of some locals, miniature schnauzers, I think.
Very cute. Very, very cute.
Yeah, if one found itself on my doorstep, I wouldn't send it away.
I'll see what I can arrange, Dan. See what I can do. No promises.
Well, speaking of promise, Valkyrie has shown a lot of promise and delivered thus far. Tempest, promise as well. Not so much on the delivery side.
Still work to be done there for sure. And again, looking long early is the call of the day. It's the preferred option from both teams as Boudib jogs to the disc. And now setting up in a horizontal. They've had an adjustment. I like the idea. Keep changing things up, trying to find something that works.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I hate the idea. I hate when you're playing a horizontal in windy conditions, because the point of a horizontal is vertical spacing and the ability to throw it to anyone on the field. Wow, Maddie Smith. We'll come back to that thought.
Bit of discussion on whether she managed to keep her left foot down inside the line, and perhaps not judging by her dropping the disc and walking away, but commendable effort nonetheless. And
that's close.
Toth picks it up.
Back to what I was saying. What was I saying?
Horizontal stack, good for shooting deep in.
But in windy conditions, you effectively have cut out the amount of receivers you can throw to. You can only throw to one, maybe two of your 4 receivers now. Whereas you run out of the vertical, you've got 5 options that can potentially run for the disc. So to me, in a game like this, a scrappy game, you want to give yourself as many chances as you can to retain possession, because you know the throw's not going to be great. It's never going to be great.
Speaking of point, that Franklin's forehand, definitely not the prettiest throw we've seen all day. As Wolski shoots a nice flat forehand through the wind. Has no problems with that. Couple meters out now. The defense forms around her, and she finds Wolski in the front of the end zone.
This could be the start of the run that decides the game. Tempest all of a sudden, 2 in a row. 5-4.
Tempest bring out the horizontal stack and they score, Dan. That's all I'm saying. Not jumping to any conclusions, but...
Well, they didn't score off the horizontal stack. They scored off the vertical.
Look, all I'm saying is I saw them come out in horizontal, and they're the ones who are about to throw down this pool, which means they came out with a goal on the board. Runs on the board, or runs on the board. Doesn't matter how you get them.
How nice is Wollongong?
How nice is Wollongong? It is a beautiful place to be. I mean, it's blowing a gale here, but other than that, you couldn't ask for anything better. We're 40 meters from the beach. We've had beautiful sunny days both today and yesterday, and I believe there's more to come tomorrow. So big thank you to Destination Wollongong for their support. Speaking of other lovely locations that are worth visiting, Terrigal on the New South Wales Central Coast. Great place to see, and if you do want to head up there and also play a bit of Ultimate, the Terrigal Tower's coming up. So really recommend that you get online and register for that. It's a lot of fun. I believe they're in their 20th year, so they're going all out, pulling out all the stops to put on a great tournament for you to enjoy.
The most interesting, oh my word, that pool is humongous.
Well into the other field.
As I was saying, the theme for this year for the Terrigal Tower is most interesting tournament in the world.
Wow, that's a big claim to live up to.
Well, it's a long and storied history. First run by the now AFTA president, Simon Farrow. He ran the very first Terrigal Tower.
There
All
you go.
those years ago, it was Simon. And John Greenfield was actually on the team that won it, I believe, that year.
Wow, and 20 years later, Simon Farron now AFTA president and John Greenfield still playing in Division 1. The man does not age.
No, he's aged. He's aged. Well and truly has John Greenfield. But like a fine wine, he is still finding ways to please and impress.
That he is. I saw him earlier this year at some of the other tournaments, and he is a miracle. It's a scary thought to think that this is him in the twilight of his career. I'm lucky enough not to have had to play against him in his prime.
Well, John Greenfield in his playing days was, his nickname was the leaping toilet brush.
And Kirsty Lucas, speaking of leaping, goes horizontal out of nowhere. Holds on to that one and keeps the disc alive. The defense then clamps down and slows things up. And straight in and out of the hands of Stevenson. That's devastating for her after such a great effort from her teammate. We see it again. Out of position, goes round her defender. The two-handed layup, beautiful form. And she'll sub off perhaps for an injury. Maybe landed awkwardly. She's bleeding. Bleeding for her team. That's the kind of commitment we have grown to expect from Kirsty Lucas.
Yeah, tough player. Very, very tough.
And play will restart after a bit of discussion following that substitution. And the wind really picking up. And they'll immediately shoot deep again and it'll roll out the side. It'll come back. We've had a bit of a foul call. Don't think it'll be contested. Just a matter of everybody returning to the position they were in when the foul occurred. Victory will count it back in. It's an intimidating mark, Victory. She's not short on length. And that throw pops up over the stack and into the turf. As you're saying, John Greenfield, what was it, the flying toilet brush?
The leaping toilet brush.
The leaping toilet brush.
And he had this gross long hair that it looked like a toilet brush. You know how it's kind of shaggy and really like pointy?
Sideways, yeah.
Yeah, he exceedingly athletic. You know, John Greenfield, he's 6'1", 6 foot in the old. Not particularly tall, but had massive, massive vertical. World-class athlete when he was playing in his 20s. And actually lost a lot of weight. Going back 5 or so years, got a little bit heavy, and he wasn't heavy at all, and really thinned down, and oh, here we go.
A lovely passage of play going Webb to Victory to Malhotra for the goal. Bam, bam, bam up the sideline. Forehand, forehand, forehand. That's a difficult sideline to jam it down. Valkyrie up to the test. Do it well.
Well, that's a very interesting score, Max, because that all of a sudden puts pressure on Tempest to score down that left-hand side.
And with that, there's a timeout call by Valkyrie. So the players will take a quick break. We might do the same, maybe take the opportunity to play an ad or two. Thanks for joining us and do stick around. welcome back to the Tempest Valkyrie matchup as we close in rapidly on half-time. Valkyrie have had the best of it so far, but you do feel like it's anybody's game. At any given moment, either team can string together a couple of incisive passes and get the goal. We've still only seen single coverage. It defies expectations, I think, coming into a Winfield game like this one, as Franklin's pull, I don't know if there are words to describe how that went that are nice. It was pretty awful, to be honest. It's out the sideline, very short. Tempest are gonna take it.
And the scoreline indicative of the weather conditions here. We're an hour in this game, still no halftime, and it's looking unlikely that we will see half. So lots of timeouts being taken, which I think is a great idea for both teams. Just a bit of time to have a breather, get a bit of water, a bit of a breath.
Boudib down the line to Wolski. Wolski, did she keep that in? Great hold, but she did not. It's just such a difficult shot to make. That forehand down the line to keep it in field. We've seen them attempt it a number of times in both directions and not find success.
I'd love to see Tempest throw a zone right now, because that is the coffin corner down there. They're going to get the turn regardless.
You can see why it's the coffin corner. Immediate turnover. Boudib rushes to the disc, wanting to get it moving quickly before the defense can set. And we get a foul on the throw. Webb doesn't look like she'll have any issues with that.
Yeah, huge foul on that throw.
Hacking the arm as it came across.
But it's a little bit worrying for Boudib if Webb is reading her that well. She's going to have to try a little bit harder, get a little bit more extension on that throw.
Throws the dad backhand to the forehand side.
Dad backhand.
Belongs at a barbecue, and that's a great goal in the end. In front of the bidding defender.
It was another dad backhand as well.
That was finding Kelly Thompson in the end, who slides on her knees like the rock star that she is. Holds on to that goal.
Oh, the dad backhand. It does belong in a barbecue, but maybe the sausage sizzle will begin shortly for Tempest, because they're still within one. They're hanging around this entire game. They haven't really been in it, but they've done enough. They're like you know, those flies at the barbecue. They hang around and they're always landing on the meat, and you shoo them away, and then they come back and they land on the meat again. You shoo them away, they land and you shoo them, and
they will not roll over, that's for sure. They will not say die. We talked about earlier that the Valkyrie in mythology gets to choose who lives and dies. So far, Tempest not taking death for an option. They refuse. And they're still in this. Toth will launch the pull for them to begin this defensive point. We'll see how Valkyrie go in response. Toth's backhand will roll to gain them a few extra meters. Webb will stop it rolling. Webb's work rate is phenomenal. I struggle to remember a point this game where she hasn't been on the field, playing a crucial role for them. And that throw can't connect from Malhotra.
Malhotra, one of the bright lights from South Australia. I look forward to seeing how she develops over time. Clear abilities with the disc in hand.
Wolski, unfortunately, unable to hold that one. And Webb with the disc. Finds the inside shot. It's a nice throw in these conditions. And Toth will regain possession of the disc, taps it in, looks downfield, surveys her options, throws the backhand, and then bombs that backhand, looking for Wolski. Wolski rises and falls, and the disc just sits above her, teasing. And Webb unleashes a feathery forehand down the sideline and out. And unable to connect again.
I love how Emma Victory's mixing things up. She's spent a bit of time handling, but she's not afraid to get down the field, and that makes it very, very hard to defend her and really prevent her from getting the disc and opening up some options for the offense.
As Tempest throws that one out the sideline near the end zone. Valkyrie having plenty of work to do. They've got a full field to go.
Good news is running repairs have been completed on Kirsty.
Her elbow's all bandaged up,
Yeah,
bleeding
Kirsty
stop.
Lucas, she's all fixed. I anticipate she'll be out there shortly.
Tempest in a tough spot here against this sideline. They have Litcharts in the center, and instead they go direct, but it's intercepted by Webb, who just gives the disc straight back. Tempest now working to the high side. This is where they want it. This is a nice spot to be in. And again, incomplete. Another opportunity for Valkyrie. Picked up by Victory.
Oh,
She looks for
points. Webb points. She says I want it long, Emma. Emma Victory, herk it for me.
And she provides, demands it, and it is provided, but there was a pick in the stack. And it'll come back.
Love to see Webb now break that heart out and then come under, try and get that disc in motion with Guerin. She's very, very tall out there. Try and get Guerin in a one-on-one heading into the end zone or to the deep space. If they can run some sort of play like that here, Max, I feel like the Valkyrie offense could find themselves in a really good spot.
Victory just tries to repeat the play from before. Another forehand huck, and it'll come back again. I'm not quite sure what the call is.
It's an interesting pick call. We might check in with Lucy Alexander, our head game advisor. Lucy, what's the rule with regards to picks and a turnover? No, she can't hear us at the moment. That's okay. The disc is going to come back in. It's going to be Emma Victory.
She'll go to Malhotra short and look to get it straight back up the line, but the pass doesn't come. Webb offers, Webb receives. And a forehand off the chest. We've seen a few of those this game. It's difficult conditions for even simple catches. Lee not able to secure that one. And Wolski not able to secure that one. Victory's going deep. Webb picks up. Decides not the option for her to take. Surprised by that. She's been willing to throw it before and then throws it late in the stall count without a player heading long. Toth working it up the far side. Gets it back, pops up in the air. Sails well out the side.
A little bit of TRC practice there.
TRC.
Throw, run, catch.
Throw, run, catch, indeed. Perfect conditions, to be honest. That and MTA, maximum time aloft. Big shout out to all those people involved in the other disciplines of disc sports. Wolski packs that disc up in a box and FedExes it down the other end of the field. It's going to float, and it's going to float too far for Kelly Adlam to haul back in. It was a perfect opportunity, not a defender to be seen. And
no defenders for miles.
Tempest squandering.
Miles. She was alone in the end zone. Everyone from Valkyrie was 10 yards back.
Couldn't have asked for a better chance, and Tempest have blown it. And Victory will look to punish immediately with her powerful forehand. And Tempest will instead attempt the center. And Victory will pick it up. She looks downfield. She has Webb going long. Again, Opts the inside forehand. That'll turn over in the wind and hit the turf. But now we're down this end of the field.
I'm not sure about that option there from Victory. I would have much preferred her go fast, pick it up, go outside in backhand, and just try and loft it into the end zone, let Webb run onto it.
It's definitely Victory's preferred throw from what we've seen. And as the wind picks up, generally speaking, backhands, you do just are able to get a little more spin on it, a little more stability, a little more control. Malhotra brings this one back into play. She'll throw the forehand down the sideline, easily read and caught by Schiffman from Tempest. Schiffman to Toth. Toth almost gets it one-handed, supported by Blitzschartz.
There's a foul. Foul called on the throw, I believe.
And it'll go back. Another opportunity for Tempest. They really wouldn't want to give away a short field turn this close to the end zone. And at this late stage in the game, just a fraction of contact, if anything.
It looked like the disc was gone after the contact occurred. See, well, maybe.
It's touch and go.
It's hard to say because Emma Victory's hand definitely connects with the thrower's arm there. It's just a question of when and where the disc was at that time.
And we have an uncontested foul as the result. Tempest will maintain possession, have another opportunity to get it out of this difficult position. It'll be a challenge for the players to go back and remember where they were because play did continue before everyone realized that a foul call had been made.
Wow, what conditions we're playing in at the moment, Max.
Borderline tropical hurricane right now.
It's borderline unplayable.
Huge mark of victory causing all sorts of problems for Tempest. Having to attempt a very tricky one. And now Webb. 3 meters out. Looks upfield, has victory, doesn't want it. Pivoting back and forward, but unable to find much. Has to throw a forehand into the pack.
And that's where Emma Victory made an awesome cut to the open side, but heads up defense, a poach came, and the poach player, just inexperienced, not realizing that she was left unmarked, unable to find the space or the disc. Results in a turn. Tempest get another opportunity.
But it is in Coffin Corner.
I'd love to see a zone here for Valkyrie. I said it a couple of points ago with Tempest. I'd love to see Valkyrie do it. Try and just trap it inside their red zone and get a cheap turn here because, well, there's always the chance this happens.
As Toth finds Wolski straight down the sideline. They're at midfield as the wind's really picking up. Not a lot more presents itself, and that one heads out the sideline.
Did Shani Webb just hand block that?
We may have to see a replay of that to confirm.
It looked like Shani Webb has got herself another hand block.
Oh, she has indeed. That is a great effort. I thought it was a wind-affected throw. Credit to Shani Webb as Victory pumps one back the other way.
Shani Webb has the hand. It's almost like she's wearing those fan hands, you know, the ones like the big hands they give you at the football, so you can like support your team. She's almost wearing them. That's the second or third hand block she's got this game.
Most people are happy to get one a tournament, and Webb's got 2 or 3 this game alone. That on top of the incredible work rate on offense and what she's providing as a thrower. I mean, Valkyrie have got one hell of a player in Shani Webb, and she's doing a lot for them.
Bit of a discussion.
Lucy Alexander may be able to get involved and help us see and hear what's
foul
going on.
And Shani Webb is making her way to the sideline.
Lucy, are you able to give us a bit of insight into what happened there?
So there's a bit of contact in that play, and the players have decided it's a contested foul. The player from Valkyrie has also been injured, requesting injury sub.
Thanks, Lucy. Looks like Franklin will come on to replace Shani. That will be a loss for Valkyrie if Webb is forced to stay off the field for the rest of this game. And with the scores at 6-5, you'd feel like without Webb on the field, that's a real opportunity for Tempest. It opens the door, gives them a look in at the comeback. But Walski has the disc now. She's got plenty of players downfield in space, and they move it quickly. Maybe rushing it just a touch too quickly though. Not able to secure the pass. And Victory again working hard with the disc in hand. Such a mental battle, this. It's a test of endurance, not only physically but mentally, to keep going in these long, grueling, difficult points where it's so difficult to string passes together.
Now there's going to be a bit of discussion on the throw. Victory's calling foul. And Rosalind saying, I can actually see from the gestures from here, she's saying I was established in the position and stationary. Therefore, that is not a foul.
It rarely occurs, but of course it is possible.
It's an uncontested foul. Uncontested foul is the result there. And Victory will get another opportunity.
As Malhotra uses her pace to get open up line. And you see how much the wind is playing into that. It bobbles off Malhotra's hands and then flies 4 or 5 meters back the other way. It's borderline unplayable conditions right now.
It's times like these I'm glad I'm retired.
Sitting in the commentary booth is definitely one of the nicer places to be right now. That's for sure. It's easy to sit in here and say, oh, they should do this and they should do that.
The biggest drama we've got is that our tent might blow away and my hair is kind of annoying me a little bit.
You'll survive somehow.
The ladies out there, however, having to battle with the inability to really throw further than 5 meters, and even then, time cap.
So if Valkyrie are able to put this one in the end zone, it'll be a game to 8. If Tempest put this one away, it's a game to 7. It's probably also worth talking about, there is a hard cap rule. With the length of the points we've had so far, it's not beyond our imagination that that will come into play. If it does, we'll get the game advisors to bring us up to speed on what that means.
Tempest have strung a couple of passes here, and now they're finding some open receivers.
This long point taking its toll on the defense of Valkyrie, and that one in and out of their hands. It's also taking the toll on Kelly Adlam. When you're this tired, what used to be easy becomes very, very difficult.
I think there's something else we need to talk about. If it, well, no, I'm just going to stop right there because I'm wrong.
Well, there we have it. As Malhotra brings the disc back in. That's why we pay him the big bucks, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not getting paid anything. Pay bananas, get monkeys.
2 meters out. Disc in the hands of Walski. They'll like the look of that as an option and a situation. And they will be rewarded in the end for their persistence and for their determination.
Well,
an absolutely epic of a point. I'm not sure how long that one was, but...
Tempest, they're like the guests that just won't leave. They keep hanging around. And it's universe point.
It's the flies at the barbecue. We've got a timeout call. So they'll regather and recoup leading into the universe point. They'll take a break and so will we. Batten down the hatches. We're in for a screamer. And welcome back. This is it. It all comes down to this and the game to go in the women's division here at Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships. It's Universe points, 6-all, game to 7.
Poor Shani Webb is injured, too injured to take part in the penultimate point. And I can't believe she's not out there. She needs to be out there for a team. If Shani Webb's out there, you feel so much better about this. Her being injured is huge.
It is. It's a massive loss for Valkyrie, without a doubt. She's done so much for them all game, all day long, all weekend long. We'll see how they fare without her. The winner of this point keeps their tournament hopes alive. The loser is relegated to the bottom 8. And unsurprisingly, we've got Emma Victory to pick this disc up for Valkyrie. We've got their usual suspects in terms of downfield receivers. We've got Kirsty Lucas and Madeline Smith. Imagine they'll have plenty to do at this point. And Victory left with not a lot. Looks to Lucas, who goes horizontal again. Always willing to put her body on the line when her team needs it. Making a hell of a play just to get a hand to that disc, but not able to secure it.
I feel like Victory's made a mistake here trying to swing the disc. I feel like that could be the game.
And that one will pop up. People underneath it, through the hands and to the turf. A lifeline, we've had a call. It'll come back. We've got a foul call. In amongst the melee, as there were bodies flying left, right and center. It popped up off the hands initially and went back. It was on that initial jump, I think, that the foul call is.
Yeah, it looked pretty clean.
Had it and it's a little bumpy.
She's saying she had it.
I'm going to maintain the contest.
Yep.
There's no way she had that.
It's contested.
Yeah. If you had to catch it first to be able to get the knee though, it doesn't matter if you hit it beforehand. Before or after? Sorry? Before or after?
Most players seem to get hands to the disc, but
I collided with her after I hit it.
Yeah, come in, it's fine.
So I'm just saying that if you had to crash into her to be able to touch it, it doesn't matter if you touch it before you crash into her. That's all. Alright.
Okay, it's going to be retracted. Retracted or uncontested?
no, uncontested. Wow.
That is, well, it is good rules knowledge from Emma Victory, who's come in and said, look, if you've
had to make contact in order to get the block.
It doesn't matter, which is perfect rules knowledge.
Yep.
An excellent spirit as well. Universe point, and you're effectively giving Tempest the disc on the end zone line.
They're about a meter outside.
It doesn't get more spirited than that.
It really doesn't. So hats off to Emma Victory, leading by example with this team. She is the founder of the club, displaying her great spirit there. But Tempest literally 2 meters out on the doorstep of booking their ticket into the elimination bracket.
Already is the elimination bracket, Max.
And they'll go forehand. Madeline Smith's underneath it. And if there's one person you don't want to throw a floater to on this field as a Tempest player, it's Madeline Smith. You know she's going to pull it down, as she does there. Malhotra almost makes a meal of that one.
Great throw from Smith under pressure.
Oh, and attempts the swing again. You spoke about it earlier, Dan. Feels like they just need to package it and send it to the other end of the end zone.
For some reason, they've moved away from what has got them this far.
In and out of the hands.
Emma Victory, she needs to realise what the story is here. They cannot give Tempest another opportunity. It's only a matter of time before they put it in the end zone.
And there you go, Victory with that backhand that served them so well all game.
And Smith nearly had it.
Got 2 hands on it by the looks of it. And that's what they want. If Tempest want to win this game, make them work some meters. Make them have to go the distance. As Boudib works hard to get up line, can't provide the option that they want. Wolski comes back for the swing, attempts the difficult backhand, and it goes to turf. Thought there may have been a foul call there, but it didn't come. And Malhotra will walk to the disc, leaving Victory in the dump space. Madeline Smith starts at the front of the stack, immediately cuts deep.
If I'm Emma Victory here, I'm telling Malhotra to put it as far as she can. play the positional game that has given them the lead.
Lucas again almost getting the D. She's been an absolutely crucial player of this Valkyrie defense.
The Valkyrie defense is looking gassed though.
Short on legs indeed, and lasers it into the hands, but we've got a call elsewhere on the field before that throw. Fair bit of contact between Emma, Victory and Wolski.
She's called a pick. Probably was a pick if you've ended up on the ground.
Contact of some kind probably impeded your movement in chasing your player.
I can't help but come back to the Shani Webb injury. She's out there right now. This is a different ball game for Valkyrie.
You do feel like something's missing, don't you?
Yeah, that something's...
Sitting on the sideline about 3 meters away from us.
Yeah, with a black eye. Because this is the tournament right now. A top 8 result for Valkyrie is huge. It's
in their
massive.
First year.
And a bottom 8 result for Tempest is also massive because they come second last year.
Coming into this tournament, you would not have said that the reigning silver medalist would be in the bottom 8 come Saturday afternoon as Lucas puts on a mark. We'll see if she can pull out a clutch hand block. You know who's been getting clutch hand blocks all game? Shani Webb. And that one through the hands and onto the turf. And Boudib on the floor. Unsure what happened there. Didn't seem to have any contact at all, just went down.
Hopefully she's okay. She's going to be crucial for Tempest here. It really needs to be Boudib leading this line. They need to be getting it to Mel Boudib. If there's anyone who's going to win this game for you, Boudib is at the top of the list.
What do you think about this as a tactical choice? They send Malhotra to bring this disc in Coffin Corner and not give it to Victory, who probably has the larger backhand on her.
Well, it's going to end up being a turnover, so I think we say it's academic from here on in.
Tempest about 20 meters. That's all that separates them from the Victory. They're going to have to work for it though. Valkyrie not willing to give up as Boudib. As we said, it's got to be her if it's going to be at all.
Uh-oh. This is not what you want if you're a Valkyrie fan.
And Wolski gets in front of Victory in the end and holds on to the pass. That's a goal. That's a ticket booked for Tempest into the top 8, into a quarter-final, and Valkyrie are distraught. Their tournament hopes end here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been high drama. And we...
A come from behind victory. Tempest down 5-1 to begin the game. End up winning 7-6 and not Galaxy Point, Universe Point. It's just, wow.
The script couldn't have written itself any better. If we told you that was going to happen before the game, you would not have believed us.
Well, heartbreak for Valkyrie fans. They go into the bottom 8. Jubilation and elation for Tempest. They go top 8.
Their hopes of defending their silver medal still alive in this tournament, and Valkyrie will battle it out in the finals in the consolation matches tomorrow. Devastation. And you finish that game just asking, what if for Valkyrie? There were so many opportunities that they had that they weren't able to hold on to. But at the end of the day, credit to Tempest, they got the job done. Dudes to stick around. We've got one more game this afternoon coming to you from Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships. It'll be on the men's side of the division in that 9 to 12 bracket. Stay tuned.
Alti.tv